Morgan covered her surprise at the unexpected contact and returned the favor. It wasn't until that very moment Morgan knew for sure that Parker remembered her, and she wondered what she was going to do with that nugget of information. And if you want to know more, does anybody have any questions at all about anything? When I say anything, I mean anything related to, y'all are supposed to laugh then. Anything related to the book, writing, any questions you have. I'll start. I wanted to let some of you know who are interested in books and reading, and especially lesbian fiction, that we have a local book club. It's the Jewel Lesbian Fiction Book Club. It's run by the local resource center. We meet at the Urban Dog Coffee Shop the second Wednesday of each month. I should know this because I've been there every single time. We just started this year. We've gotten a lot of new members. We've had the author in attendance either by phone, Skype, or which is webcam, for those of you who don't know what Skype is, because I once upon a time did not know, or in person. In fact, Clifford Henderson was our guest last month. We had almost 30 people in attendance. But anyone's welcome, whether you've read the book or not. If you want to come and meet the author, ask some questions. We'll be reading my book for September. But we also have a slate of some really good books coming up. Danny O'Connor will be there in October. She's another local author. We have local author in our midst, Roselle Gratzky, fine author. But the book club is a great opportunity to meet some other people and talk about fiction. And it's been a great deal of fun.
You said this was your second book. How did you get the process going?
It's the Nike method. Just do it. I think I've been talking about writing a novel most of my life, and I finally just sat down and did it. And that's what it takes, is just every day sitting down and writing some words on paper, whether it's 10 words or 1,000. But you're never going to have a book if you have blank paper in front of you. So.
Well, see, the reason I asked that is because I had written a story. I'm typing it up right now.
Great.
And I already have another story in mind that I'm writing down.
That's great. That's great.
And how do you go about back to publishing?
That's a great question. And we were actually talking about that at our little Java Jive meeting last night, about how do you get your stuff out there. And there's lots of different ways. You can self-publish. Most of the books that are in this store have been published by publishing companies. My suggestion is that you walk around the store, find stories or books that are like the ones that you're writing, see who's publishing them. Just read the spine. My publisher is Bold Strokes Books, but just look on the spine of the books that you're interested in that are like the stories you're writing, and most of those publishers will have information on their website about how you can submit to them, either directly or through an agent. Sure. Hey, Sharon.
Hey. With this being your second book, how did this book feel to write to you in comparison to the first? What was different for you?
This book was a little, I don't want to say easier, but it was, because it has a mystery in it, that was kind of a driving force behind getting the story out. So to me it flowed more, faster. It's kind of interesting because after I wrote the first book, now I'm so full of ideas. I've got 7 books planned in my head. And so it's coming faster. I can feel the flow. It's like I opened the floodgates and now I can't stop. I'm working on my 3rd book now. It's called Do Not Disturb. It'll be released also from Bold Strokes Books in 2010. It's a romance, and it's set in Santa Fe. And like I said, I have to go out and do some research. I actually used to live in Santa Fe, so I'm looking forward to revisiting that place in the pages of my book.
Do you have any series planned?
There's a secondary character in this book that I really feel like revisiting. And so while it may not be a true series, I would like to maybe take that secondary character and turn her into the main character, and then some of my main characters in this book might become secondary characters to her story. So I'll let you wonder about who that is when you read it. There's a couple of cameo appearances of some women from my first book are also in this book. You know, 'cause it's Dallas, it's not that big of a place. These fictional people run into each other all the time. So, anyway, sometimes things like that are fun. I find they're fun to look for in books. So I'm just trying to get you to buy the first one too. They do have copies downstairs.
How much legalese do you put into your book?
It's kind of interesting because when I first submitted the book, I kind of glossed over some of the legalese, and my editor wanted me to go back to it and make it more detailed. I don't think there's much legalese. I think anyone with a good working order, a good working knowledge of law and order could comprehend any of the legal terms in this book. But the difference between my book and Law and Order is that this could actually happen. And it doesn't happen in an hour. But I had to go back and fill in a lot of detail because she felt like I was glossing over things I was taking for granted that my readers would know more than they probably would. So there's some sections that may seem kind of teacherly to me, but I don't think they would to the average person. We've got a couple of attorneys in the crowd, so they'll probably tell me what those passages are. Roselle?
One, I'm envious of your daily word count. And I'm really jealous, actually. Where do you get your ideas?
Everywhere.
How do they pop in your little head?
I can't seem to stop them. Newspapers, just cable TV. But yeah, I think if you really, I mean, you know this, you write really creative stuff. You know, if you just open your mind to what's going on around you, you're going to get a million book ideas, a million ideas. And some of them are little, but then you can string together a bunch of them and make something bigger out of it. I also, Bold Strokes Books has a bunch of just phenomenal authors. Radcliffe, Kim Baldwin, J. Lee Meyer, too many for me to even spout off right here. But they do an anthology every year that's an anthology of short stories with a theme. And this year it's the second volume of that anthology. It's called Romantic Interludes. So they're all short vignette love stories. And this year the theme is secrets, and which doesn't seem like it lends itself to a love story. But anyway, I have a story in that called Privileged and Confidential, and that comes out in September, and you'll find it here at Borders as well. So if you come back, I'd like to make a pitch for this store. Hey. Wow. I would like to make a pitch for this particular store. As you know, we just don't have an independent bookstore in our community anymore. And it's really sad that we don't, but this store has really done a bang-up job of reaching out to our community. They have a good section with a good selection for us. They did a great job promoting this event. They've been extremely welcoming, and I'd just like to encourage you to shop at the store. I buy a lot of books here. I like the atmosphere of the store, and I just would like people to come back and get their books here when they can. Any other questions?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm just curious, as a teenager, who did you read? I always ask people, you know, they say, well, when they're a writer, that this person influenced them or that person influenced them. But I'm always curious from like the ages of 13 to 18, because it seems like that's a really influential time. Who did you read? What kind of stories interested you? And did you know at that time that you would, like many of us, be dual career artists? Yeah.
I was, you know, I had read Joyce Carol Oates and William Faulkner, and, just, darker, gloomier things. And I read a lot